Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host right here,
Eddie Nicholas. Good day to you all, evening, morning, whatever it is. Welcome to 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan, and DWildMusicRadio.com.
Awesome.
You know. What's up, Mr. Cruz? What's going on with you today, sir?
Well, it's the last quarter of the year, and it's usually a lot of bochincha in the music business game.
Live for that word, bochinche.
That's Spanish for gossip. But
Yes.
in the name of this show, we're talking about Freedom Radio Hour, your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. In a prior episode, we were talking about how the RIAA, here in the States, that's the Recording Industry Association of America. They're the artist lobbying group, basically. They're supposed to be vouching and fighting on our behalf. If you're an artist, they want to see you have fair income. They want to fight more on your behalf to take away control from others as much as possible. But they had an issue because they had a report that they were trying to commission that studied the effects of illegal digital piracy and sales. And they actually found that there wasn't really that much of a loss when you look at this report. And quietly it was pushed away because it didn't really fit, some argue, their agenda that says we need to fight against piracy more because it's affecting sales. They really had no data to support that. Well, now, because this is considered critical or bad press for them, they have issued quickly, just last week, a new report. And they want to let you know how the first 6 months of 2017 fared in sales. Why are you already side-eyeing? I love it. Why?
Because you know why. Where was the RIAA when all of this shenanigans with the dealing and how much artists are going to get paid out in the beginning at the table? Because it appears that they are now trying to get crumbs from the table after the table has already been served.
Well,
because I'm looking side-eyed because first of all, again, they should have been there. If they're talking about artist rights, then there should be no reason why artists are still collecting a quarter of a daggone cent or a penny and have to have X amount of streams exhibited to even get $100.
Right,
You're
talking about the amount that outfits are paying out per 1,000 streams. And so that is really a paltry amount. And you make a very valid point. And it seems like the RIAA's big agenda is to fight piracy, except when you don't have the data to support that fight continuing on, now you have to look at what else is the agenda. Well, so far they're saying that the music industry in the U.S. has grown. We're in the first half of 2017 already at $4 billion with a B. Okay, so that's up like 17% from that same period last year, 2016. And that's the other thing that was really interesting is that they did a study at the first half of 2015, and then 2 years later now, the first half of 2017, on the subscriptions. You know, we were saying, you and I agree that there is a tendency for our folks to, if you can get it for free, why would you pay?
Why would you pay?
Why would you pay for something you can get for free on YouTube, for example? Well, the study came back to find that it was valued at $757 million. I'm talking about subscription services that people pay to access music. That now at the first half of 2017 has increased as well to $1.54 billion.
Now, has the artist recovery increased?
Listen,
with those increases, you know.
Listen, and so add to this. So
people,
this is the way that we get paid when it comes to streaming. You have the public performance. That's like if you go to the mall and you hear your song, if you're an artist, or you hear it any music through a loudspeaker, a club,
elevator,
concert, a venue. Yeah. You get paid a public performance royalty, and that's it administered through ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC. But for digital for public performance, SoundExchange is the outfit. They're a nonprofit org, and they administer the digital public performance royalties that you receive when we're talking about streaming. Okay, so that same RIAA report did have a really puzzled look when it came to SoundExchange, because evidently their payments out in the first half of the year has decreased from like $403 million last year to this year it's like $340 million. So they're saying, in other words, if we're seeing these growths in streaming and how it accounts for 62% of that $4 billion so far, why is it that the payment out through SoundExchange is decreasing? I found that really puzzling. I'm like, that's strange because that's not in step with the increase. And now, they did ask this, but the response has been, well, in non-interactive streamers like Pandora and others, they've negotiated direct payments to the labels, so they don't pay through SoundExchange.
Okay.
That's why you see this dip.
Now, from my understanding, SoundExchange is located in Washington, D.C. They started off basically as one that will collect payments or digital.
Yeah, so that's digital public performance, correct. And then ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, they collect on public performance. So that's different.
Okay.
But it's in a quick way. You could change the way the game is now and then argue who pays what. Like, I had one time somebody was taking my internet stream and piping it through their venue in Florida somewhere. And they were saying the customers were really enjoying the music I was playing. So that's now a digital public performance fed through into piping into a venue, which is public performance. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we want to break down a little more what's happening on the Freedom Radio Hour, your number one source for music, business, and trends from around the globe.
91.6 FM, y'all.
Freedom Radio Hour.
What up, beautiful people? Welcome back to 91.6 FM. I'm your co-host, Eddie Nicholas, and I'm here with my fantastic running buddy, the one and only Mr.
Adam Cruz, and you're live and direct on the Freedom Radio Hour, your number one source for music, business, news, and trends from around the globe. Before we broke, we were talking about what was happening with this RIAA study. Let me ask you, we were saying that there's a big push to say how much the industry has grown in terms of revenue, and that's wonderful. Now, for the first half of 2017, we're looking at $4 billion earned so far. Now, 62% of that is streaming money. That means that should be administered through SoundExchange, who handles digital public performance. ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, they handle public performance royalties, okay? So, streaming should be going through this SoundExchange thing. But the RIAA study said that there's a decrease from like $403 million that they've paid out to now it's $340 million payout. So, in other words, something's wrong in this math. If streaming has increased, why is the payout from SoundExchange, who's supposed to administer that stuff to us, not increasing?
Well, you said the word right there.
What's that?
Administer. They're paying for administrative fees.
Listen.
and they're paying to all their investors. So before the investors,
but these are nonprofits. You're supposed to.
Nonprofits have administrative fees.
Well,
and a lot of times those administrative fees soak up more than what you think. Whoever who are running these nonprofits, they have salaries. Those salaries are coming out of those streams.
Right.
And with that coming out of that, again, the money is not drifting and dripping down to the artists. It's going to the administrators who pat themselves. Great job. Oh, give yourself another $2,000.
Well, I don't really know what's happening. I do know that the counter argument back was to say,
I think a conspiracy.
Listen, I get it because it feels like the math is just never adding up.
Right.
It never adds up. 2 + 2 never equals 4.
Especially it does not add up for the artist.
No, never.
It adds up for the administration and the people who are governing.
SoundExchange says that outfits like Pandora Radio and other non-interactive streamers have negotiated direct payments to the labels, so they're not administered through SoundExchange. So therefore, that they say accounts for some of that drop in terms of what they paid out. But they have paid out $340 million in the first 6 months of 2017. So we'll have to keep abreast of this. But I find it really interesting this other thing that's happened. You know, and when you see these reports, you think that you're going to probably see more companies come up as streaming outfits because there's a lot of money to be made, and it seems to be increasing over time. But Microsoft, the software company, they just announced on Monday that they're shutting the doors of their streaming outfit. You see, it started as Xbox Music, and it was to accompany the video game console. And then over time, to sort of rebrand itself in the name more streaming, they call themselves Groove Music. And Groove Music was doing its thing for a certain amount of time, and now Microsoft has said we're shutting the doors to Groove Music, and all subscribers we have partnered with Spotify.
I was getting ready to say, and who did they partner with? It's not that they shut the doors. Who did they partner with? You just said it.
Yeah, they partnered with Spotify. So Spotify, right now, they're looking at a deal where the subscribers come over to Spotify, and they're given like 60 days of a free trial.
And how many millions of dollars are we looking at with this joint venture between Spotify?
I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. We'll have to see how the payments go out. How the payments going to be changing in terms of what's paid out to the artists in
now,
these
wasn't Spotify
shuffles.
facing some type of financial trouble at one time?
Well, Spotify is dealing with the lawsuit around the kinds of royalties they pay out.
They pay out.
Right. And that's still going to be litigated for a time to come. And sure, Spotify is dealing with the argument that because they offer streaming and download from your device, that they should be paying two types of royalties, mechanicals and performance. So they're saying we should only pay the one. So that's going to be in question for a while. These things tend to take a long time, so it's not going to be argued and resolved in one.
Well, Microsoft now picks up that trouble and issue as well, but they're juggernaut and they have major money. So
and they'll shut the doors, and if that's not happening, that's less salaries to pay out, less space taken up in the building, perhaps, and they could refocus on other things. But I'm not sure that this will be the last time that we'll hear about Microsoft and its attachment to streaming, because it seems like it is here to stay. They might just offer it in another way.
In other words, they're subsidizing it out.
Yes.
We don't want to do the work. We'll pay somebody else to do it and reap the benefits.
Right. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's bothering me that I don't have that Spotify legal information right at my fingertips.
But best believe we will have it next week.
Yes, or you can refer to the episode before where we covered it. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely check out DJAdamCruz.com and EddieNicholas.com for more of our respective fantastic music. And leave a comment under everything that we're posting at Freedom Radio Hour. Don't forget, we have a free app available for Android and for iTunes. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend and a great week ahead. We'll see you next time.
91.6 FM.